Welcome everyone. Today we're going to be building a landing page using Next.js, shadcn UI, craft UI, and components.bridger.to. And we're also going to be sending the data to a platform called router.so. This is a project that my business partner Bridger and I have been working on. It's going to be completely open source. It's still in development and just kind of in some really small beta testing just between us. And basically it's just a very simple interface to manage and collect leads and forms for developers. We're going to be using shadcn UI, as I mentioned. We're also going to be using components.bridger.to. This is a component library that Bridger Tower created. He's one of the co-owners of 98 with me, and a really talented design engineer. He made this component library built on top of Bridger Craft, shadcn UI, and Tailwind CSS, and basically it allows us to create really beautiful landing pages very quickly. So we're going to be using this on top of shadcn UI and Bridger Craft. So Bridger Craft, let me open that up as well. It's a very simple design system to use in Next.js applications. So we'll be using this in addition to shadcn UI. So let's go ahead and get started. Gonna pull up my terminal here. I've got my projects open. Let's do npx create next app latest. We're just gonna call this, let's call it YouTube landing page, just like that. We're gonna use TypeScript. We'll just say yes for ESLint. We're going to use Tailwind CSS. I'm going to say no to the source directory. It's a small project. It's going to be pretty simple. App router, no import alias. Well, we're not going to customize the import alias. We'll wait for that to go for a second. Okay, perfect. So I created that, and then I cd'd into the project, and now we're going to go ahead and open this up in a code editor. I'm just going to use VS Code for now, and then I'm just going to get rid of all of the default stuff right here, and we're just going to return this. Get rid of that as well. Save. Let's go ahead and run this and open it up in our browser. So perfect, we got hello world. Let's see what else we got. We got our globals, and then our layout. Great, so let's go ahead and get started with Bridger Craft. He has a CLI command. Let's go and use that. I'm going to be using npx. I don't have pnpm in this project. I believe it scaffolds all of the shadcn stuff. Could be wrong on this. You can look at the init script. Yeah, so it looks like it does install shadcn. So let's go ahead and just run this command in this project. And then we're going to do this one. That, enter the component name. We'll keep it default. Let's install it okay, here we go. Yeah, so we get the whole shadcn. I like neutral to start out with. We're going to use CSS variables. It's going to go through and install that. Perfect. Now let's check out what we have in our components folder. Great, so we have craft. Looks like we need to run npm I. Nice. It's still giving us issues with Tailwind merge. We have it. There we go. Just needed a refresh of the window. Now we'll go back to our docs here for craft. I'm just going to copy this, and then we're going to go to our page. that. Let's see. We have this. Let's see. This should not give any issue. We want to use the workspace version. There we go. Oh, we're still getting this issue. All right, very simple fix. We didn't really need the .tsx. See, this is why we call this Skill Issue Studio. That was a very simple task, and thankfully I had Copilot to help fix it for us. So we just went ahead and imported that. I might open up a little PR on Craft to fix that just in the docs, so that other people don't have that issue. Let's see, here are some colors. I'm just probably going to go ahead and copy this into my globals. I like the idea of using his configuration. Nice. Let's see what this looks like. Great, so you can see that we have this margin and padding on the sides and on the top. It looks pretty solid. I believe that he's using, what is this called? Pros in here. Yeah, so you can see that the H1 is already being styled, and if we do not pros as a class here, as a tailwind class, it gets rid of that within that container. I think we want that for now, so I'm just going to leave it. Perfect. So we have that set up. Let's see what components we have. We don't have any components for shadcn. I'm just going to go ahead and add all of them. So that'll just work in the background, and we'll start to see them flow into here. While we're doing that, let's go ahead and I think I'll leave this open for now. We're gonna come back to the shadcn components, but for now, let's go to components.bridger.to again, and let's see which components we want to use to build a landing page. I think that there are a lot of really solid heroes in here. Let's see which one we want to use. This one would be not bad, right? This has like a 4-minute that we could build out and use, because we're going to want to send information to our router.so endpoint that we're going to create. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Let's just do that. Let's use this one. So the nice thing is about components.bridger.to, we can just copy it, or we can see the code here. This looks great. He's even got this Zod schema set up to validate the email, which is awesome. Yeah, that's actually pretty sick. So he's rendering this as a client component for now. It's just a hero because of this form. We could like abstract this form away and then create another client component and then nest that within the hero. I'm just going to go ahead and copy this whole thing, create a new component called hero. Right now it doesn't really bother me that it's all client-side rendered. I think that's totally fine. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. We can see that all of our components are there. That's absolutely perfect. I'm just going to create, yeah, actually we'll just keep them in this folder for now. I'll do hero.tsx. I think we copied this just in case. I'll add it here. Oh, I do want to install React Wrap Balancer. That's an important part of a lot of the components in bridger.to and components.bridger.to. The nice thing about React Wrap Balancer is that, like this, for instance, it'll make sure that this is balanced so that you don't have orphaned words, which is a great design principle to follow, especially when creating landing pages. And that just takes care of all of that for us, which is super nice. So we just installed that. We don't have any errors. Great. I think that there's a hero image here. Let's see. How are we importing that hero? Here we go. Source placeholder. Whoops. Let's see. Placeholder. Here we go. So we're importing placeholder. Okay, so public placeholder.jpg. So we're gonna have to create this. I'm just gonna name it the same thing just for sake of simplicity. We might want to rename it in the future to like hero image or something like that. But we need to create a file in here called placeholder.jpg. I'm just gonna go to Unsplash and we'll find like a cool architecture picture maybe. Yeah, this one's sick, why not? And then let's just drag that in. To public. Perfect. And we'll rename it placeholder.jpg. Save that, close that out, close this. We'll come back full screen and then make this full screen again as well. Nice. So now we have it all. This is perfect, but we're not importing it here. So let's go ahead and import it. If you'll see, here is a section and a container. Let's see what this is. So this is also a section container. So what I'm going to do is actually just delete all this and just wrap the hero section in this main. Let's clean up our imports a little bit. We can add those in later if we want to. And then we'll add that here. Perfect. And now if we go see what that looks like, we have this very nice hero, right? And I'm pretty sure, knowing Bridger, yep, it's very responsive. We might want to make this a little bit wider, which is totally fine, but it looks really good on desktop as well. It has a CTA headline, a subheadline, and then this form. It also has some validation, right? So we don't have a good email right now, but then now it'll actually pass. Let's see what he's doing on the submit. Okay, we're just logging the values, which is totally fine. And we will change that in a little bit. What we'll do is we'll post to the router.so endpoint that we're going to create. But let's add some more components. So let's go back to components.bridger.to. This one, CTA2, that's a pretty good component. I don't really want to add another email form. Let's see what else we can do. Let's actually just filter. So I think he has these filters. So we have the hero. Maybe let's add like a feature component. Oh, I like this one. This one looks good. So let's just copy that. I'm going to come back here, open this up, and in components, I'm just going to call this feature.tsx. We'll just paste it in. And awesome, we don't have any errors. So it's ready to use. And I believe this one is the same way, where it is wrapped in a section and container. Perfect. So he's importing it this way. You can also use craft this way, where you just import everything and then you can access it by doing craft.section, craft.container, and so forth. Just kind of personal preference, whatever you like to do. So let's open up the main page again, and then we'll import feature. Nice. Now, let's see what that looks like. Beautiful. So we've got the main hero, and we've got the feature underneath it. I kind of like the idea of adding in the hero, let's play around with this in the section maybe, like a little line on the bottom. Yeah, that's kind of subtle and kind of nice. I think it breaks up the page in a nice way. So I just added that. Again, just added on the section component of the hero. just this border bottom class, which we'll add that in. Nice. So that's perfect. That was really fast. And then to change this content, it'd be really easy. You just go in here and change this this array, and you can even import a new lucid icon and change that up. I'm just going to leave these all because I don't really want to have to go in and create new content. ChatGPT would probably be really good at creating some decent content for this, but we're just going to leave it for now. We're going to go back to components.bridger.to. Now let's actually look at like a CTA. This would be a good spot for a CTA. Let's see what we look like. So everything's pretty centered. We could break it up a little bit, do something like this. I'm just going to keep going with the center thing. I'm going to copy this one, and then I'm going to go into my components and create cta.tsx. Nice. Again, doesn't have any errors or anything. That's awesome. We'll import it here, and then we'll add it there. I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Oh, it's already added. Nice. On the feature component, the border on the bottom is already added. So if we go back to this, nice. It's looking good. So we have this image with the hero and this little form to fill out. And then we have this here, which is great. This feature component, and then like the CTA. I think the final touch on this is, let's add a FAQ, kind of as like a footer. I personally really like this one, and it kind of matches this style a little bit. So I'm just going to use that one. Copy it. Let's go in here. FAQ, frequently asked questions. Nice. Once again, since we have everything installed, no errors, which is great. Gonna close these up, and we'll add the page again. Nice. FAQ. Perfect. Let's see if the CTA, this one doesn't have the border on the bottom, so I'm just going to go ahead and add that just to keep breaking it up a little bit in a positive way. Nice. So it's looking really good. Our spacing is all super consistent. Everything is lining up pretty well. You'll see on this, it looks like there's a little bit of extra padding like here and on this versus this one. I think that's fine. What we could do is go into the CTA and then possibly change it. So let's see. Let's look at the FAQs padding. Oh, it looks like there's no padding. Wait. I think I'm actually just going to leave it. I'm not going to worry about it for now. But it's really easy to customize if you want to. You have full access to change everything in here. And then again, right, it's just like shadcn. Bridger built out Craft very, very well. So if you want to go in and change the container, you literally can. You can come in here and then adjust this from padding 6 to padding 8 or whatever you want it to be. So I'm just going to leave it. I think it looks great. I think it's like anything that needs to be changed is extremely minor. So we're just going to leave it for now. But incredibly quickly, we were able to just like scaffold this and create this landing page that looks really good. It's extremely fast, which is also awesome. And then now let's just go ahead and make this form functional. So we'll come in here, and I believe this was in the hero component. We're using React hook form to validate this with Zod. And we have an email field, so that's great. So now I'm actually going to go into router.so. So this is within the actual app. I'm going to go to endpoints. Let's create a new endpoint. What this does is we'll name it. So this one will just be YouTube lander. You basically create a schema for your form. And then based off of the schema you create, it creates a essentially like a Zod schema to validate it on the server when it's being posted. So in our landing page, we are validating it on the client. It also validates on the server, so it'll actually return an error and not accept the lead if it doesn't match the correct format, which is pretty nice. So actually I'm going to call this just Lander for the sake of simplicity. We only have one, it's email. We have a built-in validation type so far for email that's just the same as the Zod email validation. We're not going to enable just HTML form posting. We actually want to do more stuff on the client to validate. So we're just going to be basically posting it from the server. We're going to create either a server action or an API endpoint that will then send the data from our front end, from the form, the shadcn form, to the endpoint, and then the endpoint will post it to here. So let's just go ahead and create the endpoint. It took a little while. I think we don't use this very much, so there is a little bit of cold start. But now we have this URL that we can post to. So I'm going to click into this actually. It'll give us the endpoint. So I'm going to go and save that in here. Probably have a better place to put this, but I'll just comment it there for now. And then, yeah, so we're just going to post via a post request. So we'll do that. This is basically what the body looks like that we need to post. This is the API key that we'll use. It's pretty long. It's running off the page. We'll have to fix that. And then this is like a sample curl request that we could use. This is kind of how we could use fetch. So this is actually probably what ours will look like in our API endpoint or a server action. And then this is also really cool. Bridger built it out so that it generates a shadcn form on the fly, as well as some simple Zod validation, which is really cool. But yeah, we're just going to be basically using this. So let's come in here and we will actually, let's see. So let's do this using an API endpoint. We'll use a route handler using Next.js app router. So we will go into here and create a new file called APIs. It'll be in the API folder. Let's just call it, I'm just going to call it D for data, and then route.ts. We're going to export an async function post, and what that's going to take is request, which is the type request interface, and then let's just go ahead and get email from the request body. And I like to use the next response. I'm just gonna import that. You can just use the response browser API, but I'm gonna use next response. I like it. And in here, let's see, we have the values. Let's basically just do what we're doing here, but it'll be slightly different. So let's do const response equals await fetch. We're going to fetch to our own API, which is the one we just created. The method will be post, and the body, we're going to stringify, values, right? Which is this, and that is of type email and string. So that's great. That's going to be, that'll pass that through. Oh, this needs to be async for us to use await. So that's the response, and then we will just await the response JSON to get the actual data from the response. I'm going to just get rid of these comments. don't really need them. Great. And then in here, let's just paste what we have earlier. So I'm just going to, actually no, this is bad. That would be bad practice. I'm just gonna create .env.local, and we will just do router API key, add that in there, and we'll do one for router endpoint as well. And then in here, let's take that, throw it in there. Nice, now we have the API key and the endpoint. So let's just replace that. Process.env dot. We know that exists, so we'll just do a little bang at the end. We're gonna get rid of this behemoth ugly thing, replace these backticks, and do some little magic here. Again, that one also nice. And then yeah, we know the email exists. I'm not gonna add another type just because it's really simple. It's just one parameter we're passing through, but we are going to pass in the email. And then let's do response equals await fetch. Nice. And then let's actually here do this. Oh, let's do this. Just 500. And then otherwise, we're just gonna grab the data. We'll just log it for now. And then we'll return next response.json. Let's just return that data. Great. Oh, and here we'll just pass an email before we're just passing a string. So now what this is going to be doing is once they submit this, we will get, let's see, on submit, they'll send it to our API. We're going to send in the values. And then what we're going to be doing here is grabbing the email from those values and passing it to router, our endpoint, which will post to the endpoint. And then if there's an error, the response is not okay, we'll just return an error occurred. Otherwise, we'll just log the data, and then we're going to return that, which will be this. We don't necessarily need this. I'll just get rid of it for now. But that's looking pretty good so far. I like the idea of adding like a toast icon into it. Let's just do that. Let's just add a really simple, let's add a state variable in here. So I'm just going to do import use state here. And then inside here, we'll just do loading, set loading equal to use state boolean be false by default. And then once we do this, we will set loading to true. And then, yeah, actually, if data loading false. And let's import, let's use Sonner toast. I really like that one a lot. I think it's installed. We just need to add it to our layout file. Is it in the body? Toaster. Nice. And now we can call that from here. Nope. I believe it is. Ooh, why there's so many? This one. Boom. Now let's just do this actually. Okay, perfect. Else toast dot success. Success. And then we'll just set that to false. And then in here, this is the form, the submit. We'll just disable it if it's loading. Easy. Okay, I think we are all ready to go. Delete that. We've got our API keys and stuff here. Got our route set up, our layout. Let's see if this works. Gonna refresh the page here. I'm going to do test at test. Great. Doesn't work. Test at test.com. Disabled. And success, it posted. Now let's see if it actually posted in router.so. We'll go to our logs. Nice, we have a success log. We can go over and see the lead, and the email that came through is just test at test.com. Perfect, so there you have it. I guess one thing that we could do is after it's submitted, we could just clear the values. It's not a bad idea. Maybe that's something fun that you could do on your own just using React Hook Form. But there you have it. We created a very nice looking landing page. We added an email form to collect an email in the hero with some validation that actually posts to router.so so that we can collect the information. And then, yeah, it just looks great. It's responsive. Has toast to show that it's sent. And that's it. Thank you for joining. One thing to note here on router.so, it's currently in active development, but it is open source. I believe if you go to router.so and click get started, I don't think it will let you sign up for it. I think right now we're limiting the emails that are able to be used, but I'll add a link to the GitHub. But if you go to 98dev on GitHub/router, the app is there. We're going to be opening up some issues here pretty soon. The app is not fully built out. It's functioning at a very bare minimum right now. We're going to be opening up some issues that people can work on. We're also going to be adding in some bounties to some of these issues, so be aware of that. They're not going to be huge bounties. They're pretty simple issues, but maybe 10 to 20 US dollars here and there for people that want to contribute. And then, yeah, basically we'll just pay through probably Venmo. Maybe we'll look at other options if Venmo doesn't work for everyone. But we'll try to work that out beforehand so that no one just doesn't get paid for the work they do. But yeah, we want to make it kind of a community-driven project. It's pretty simple. It's using Drizzle, shadcn UI, Next.js. I think we're on an older version of Next.js, maybe version 4. I think we're probably going to migrate to version 5 pretty soon. Next.js is not my favorite, but it works for a small project like this. And then, yeah, it's just a pretty simple app that we've been building to collect information. And then we're going to be building out like a dashboard pretty soon, settings, managing settings, things like that. and then adding some more features to the actual lead management, like editing an old lead. And then we'll probably also be adding in some new features. For instance, if you create an endpoint, being able to include a webhook. I think you can add this right now. I don't think it actually does anything, if I remember correctly, but it'll be able to post to a webhook URL when the lead comes in, so that you can trigger another flow on another platform. Maybe eventually we'll add something in like React Flow to build out like a custom flow of where you want that lead to go using some other automations, right? Kind of like a very, very simplified Zapier, Leadspedia type of thing. So that's kind of maybe possible ways that we could take Router. We're not really sure yet. We'll probably end up adding like a product roadmap type thing on the homepage, so that people can go in and see what we're planning on adding. But yeah, we'd love if people contribute to that. Give us a follow. Give Bridger Tower, he's the one that created components.bridger.to. Give him a follow on Twitter. Give 98.dev a look. It's our company that Bridger and I are building. We are constantly working on all these different projects. And yeah, hit us up if you have any questions. But thanks so much for tuning in.